Buttons are an extremely important part of any user interface within a game. To be honest, I can't think of any game I've played that doesn't involve some sort of button or clickable object to involve level selection, navigation and selection through the main menu, or any sort of menu. It comes with some sort of button or some sort of category that you click on in order to load the next preset or to take you to the next level. So thankfully, the people who developed Unity knew that this was a very important feature for them to add in their game engines. So they made it very intuitive for us to actually do this. So I'm going to right click here and go to UI, and then I'm going to come down here to where it says button. And so now I have a canvas element automatically created and a button object automatically parented to that canvas. So the next step is I'm going to come over here, and I'm actually going to show you guys how this is supposed to function. So we have a button, we click on it, it changes color, right? I'm going to unplay this. Now, if we come over here, we'll see that the source image is set to this. I could change this to other sprites that I have if I wanted to, and now check this out. We have this button that still functions like a button, but it has a different graphic in the background. So there's a custom graphic. Now, of course, you can go a lot more complex than just a simple shape with a color. You can make your own like in-depth detailed buttons, and that's what I encourage you to do for some of the games you'd be developing. So now we're going to come down here, and I want to go to this button script. Also, you can change the color. If you're going to change the color, you want to make sure that your sprite is initially white. So we can change this color. If I go and I put back one of those colored shapes here, right? Let's say I do this. Now I go to change this color. Now it's messing around with the tints, and we don't want to mess around with the tints right now. We want to actually just change the full color here. So I want to make this a light green button. Okay. Next, what I want to do is I'm going to double click this normal color. This means the normal color. What is the normalcy? When it's just in its normal state, nothing's happening to it. It's set to white. You'll notice this changes the tint of the color because we set the color up here to green. So white would just mean to leave it the color that we preset up here, which makes the most sense. Now, next we go to highlighted color. When it's highlighted, I want this to be a sort of yellowish or lime green, right? So we'll just check out how that looks. Highlighting means mousing over the button. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. And now pressed color, we're going here, and I want to make it like a full-on green. So when you press it, it just really goes green. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, perfect. That's a nice transition between the colors. And again, if we highlight and click, that stays in the highlighted color. If we click off to the side, it deselects that. So disabled, so if we disable it by unchecking interactable, which would make it no longer interactable, it goes to its disabled color, which I like. How do we add functionality to this button? Very simple. Okay, create a new script. I'm going to make a C# script. Create C# script. There we go. Name this, I'm going to call this button 1. Right, and I'm going to double click here, and it'll take a minute for this to load up. And once it does, now we're going to come in here. I want to create a new function. So start and update our void functions. I want to make a public. This is so that the button could recognize it. Void, and I'm going to call it button interact. And I'm going to add these parentheses here. Now, there's a lot you can do. You can basically add any functionality you want. I'm just going to say debug.log our button was clicked. Okay, and I'm just going to say it that way. I'm just going to say our button was clicked. And so now if we click this button, it should say our button was clicked. Control S to save it. Come up here and X out of our mono-develop. Okay, or you can minimize it if you'd like. Now I come over here, I just want to make sure this button is interactable again, so check that interactable. Drag and drop this script onto some sort of game object. Button 1 script dropping onto the main camera, check to make sure it's there. I'll just remove this. There was a script on there from one of the last tutorials, so I just remove that for us. Go over to button, click this plus. Now we're going to choose the object, drag and drop our main camera in. Choose our function. We know it's in the button 1 script, and our function is not here for some reason. Well, let's take a look. We have bool enabled, string name. Okay, let's take a look back at our script. Ooh, there's a parsing error. That would be why it isn't showing up. Let's double click that. Let's see, what did we do wrong? So we have this here, parsing error at line 20. Oh, okay. So I didn't add a closing brace after my function. So that's just a simple thing, simple fix, just add a closing brace there. So if I hit Control S now, and this is good because you actually just saw how to fix one of the most common errors when creating a button in Unity. Clear out these errors here, you'll see that they're clear. If I hit play, oh, sorry, one more step. We still have to add that function, we weren't able to. Now you'll see button interact, that function there. We have all of our functionality set up. We hit play, we click this button. Our button was clicked. Click it again. It says here 2, that's because we have collapse on. If we turn off collapse, every time we click it, it'll say our button was clicked. And if we hit collapse, it'll just show us the number of times this was called. So one last thing. So right here, I showed you how to just simply add something to the console, right? But if you're making a game, there's so many other things you do on the click of a button. You could load a level. You could make another selection, open up another menu. So depending on the functionality you want, that's the functionality you're going to add into that function that you wrote, that public function, which I called, I think it was button interact. Okay, so don't feel like you're just limited when making a button to make it just output stuff to the console. You could do whatever you want, any sort of functionality. It's just this is the setup. You would drag the game object here, choose your script, choose your function, and you're good to go.